What's up, brothers? Hope everyone's doing well out there. I come to you this afternoon not with a big ego, not with a chip on my shoulder, but with a big heart and bearing wisdom. And it's up to you if you want to take it. And what I want to talk about in today's video is why no man should ever stress out about his looks or obsess over your looks to a point where you get pulled into this whole looks maxing fad. And I understand if you're in that sort of a trend, if that's the pathway you're going down, I'm probably not going to convince you otherwise. I know people are set in their ways, but if you're a fence sitter and you're not sure which direction you want to go, hopefully you'll take this to heart. And I also understand most of the people that are into this trend are younger guys. You know, guys in their late teens, early 20s. These are the guys that are most focused on their appearance. And you're at an impressionable age. Some older guys are obsessed with their appearance and whatever, but I want to give you my best advice on this subject. I want to start by saying a while back there was a girl that I was seeing, a lady that I was seeing, I should say. And she was looks-wise, you know, if I were a modeling agency and I were to measure the way she looks-wise, you know, her appearance, pretty average, right? Maybe slightly above average. But I really liked her. I liked who she was. I liked the way we got along. So, you know, it was cool. To me, if I were to walk into a room and there were 10 supermodels in the room, flawless, perfect 10 out of 10s, and she was in the room, she would have my favorite face in the room because I knew her. You know, I enjoyed talking with her. I enjoyed being with her, right? And that's typically the way it works. But something happened that caused me to pretty much lose all attraction to her. We had gone maybe a couple weeks when we weren't really talking that much, and she said she had a doctor's appointment she had to go to, and she went to it, and then we got back together. We started talking again after a couple weeks, and she had gotten Botox and lip injections, and she was talking about, you know, getting some bone work done in her face and getting breast implants. And, you know, instantly, my attraction to her dropped. She was perfect to me the way she was, right? She, you know, her imperfections were perfectly okay by me because I felt like we were like on an even level, like our personalities, the way we think, how we get along. And, you know, I found her attractive. But when she did that, it almost caused me to think that, I don't know, like there was something wrong with her. You know, somebody that's that obsessed with their appearance, that they're doing all kinds of crazy shit to look better, you start to think like this person has body dysmorphia. They're a perfectly healthy person, right? Their brain works just fine. Their body works just fine. You know, they're not terminally ill. They haven't had an accident that's affected the rest of their life and their, you know, physical abilities. They're perfectly capable. But for some reason, they're so obsessed with the way they look, they've developed a complex and body dysmorphia to a point where they're going to go do crazy shit to look different. It would have been one thing if she had an accident and she had a giant scar across her face or something. That would have actually probably made me like her more, because it would have caused me to, I don't know, like feel sorry for her and want to be there for her. You know what I mean? You know, when you care about somebody, that's kind of how you handle that sort of a situation. But this was different. This was her being vain, being obsessed with the way she looks, and totally altering her appearance to a point where I didn't see the same person that I once saw. Not just physically, but I no longer felt like we were on the same level, like personality-wise. So, if you're a guy out there that's constantly obsessed with looks maxing, do you think, like, how do you think women are going to perceive you? I know you think your end game is like, you know, you're going to look way better, and as soon as you look way better, women are automatically going to be all over you. And that's your goal. But do you think that that's actually what's going to happen when you get there? Or do you think most women are going to be like, gosh, this dude is more obsessed with his looks than I am. He cares more about the way he looks than I do. That's too effeminate. That's too beta. I'm not into this guy. You know, which do you think is more likely? I'm not saying that looks don't matter. Obviously, what your mother and your father gave you, what you were born with, your bone structure, your height, your genetic, your muscle insertions, your muscle bellies, your metabolism, the sound of your voice. You know, all of this stuff is going to play a role in how attractive you are. But the problem is, what you have, you're stuck with for the rest of your life. So you have to make a decision. Are you happy with what you have, or are you not happy with what you have? And let me put it like this. When it comes to looks, when it comes to appearance, most women, pretty much all women, would prefer a man that's handsome. And not only that, they probably have a particular type. You know, I could even say something like let's say I meet a woman that is only into black guys. Well, my mindset, based on my experience, would tell me that, okay, maybe she's most attracted to black guys, but she can make an exception. And same thing if you're a black guy and you're going after a chick that only likes white guys, or whatever, Asian, Mexican, whatever, right? But women, for the most part, anybody for the most part, will make exceptions. You know, they have a type, but they'll make exceptions. There's always an exception to the rule. It's a low percentage, but exceptions still exist, right? So the way you look, you may not be a woman's cup of tea, but she may still make an exception for you. You know, based on if there's something about you that she likes that makes you stand out. I also want to say that growing up, I knew a lot of, maybe not a lot, but I knew quite a few models, both males and females. And they almost always had there's like a formula for them to become a model. Obviously, they had to be good looking, but in particular, the male models, they all kind of went through this exact same transition. So they would start out playing sports, you know, at a young age, but they weren't really that good at sports. Maybe they were on the soccer team, they were like a kicker on the football team, and like a second string kicker or something. And, you know, it was obvious that they weren't going to be a standout athlete. So instead of focusing on athletics, they started focusing on aesthetics. So they were still there training and playing the sports, but they were working out and dieting strictly to reach a looks goal, right? They wanted to look a certain way. Whereas the other guys were working out for strength, for power, for athleticism, for speed. And I can 100% confirm the dudes that were all about the aesthetics, even if they had like 10 out of 10 looks in the face, they weren't really the guys that were getting it. You know, they weren't the guys that were getting the you-know-what from the ladies. They would get a little bit, but the guys that were getting the most were like, you know, that big burly offensive lineman, defensive lineman, rough and rugged, you know, beer drinking, partying, life of the party. The dude that shows up and everybody's like, bro, good to see you. Hit the joint. Yeah, fuck yeah, bro. Go, go, go. Doing keg stands. And that type of guy was always getting the women because he was fun. He was out there partying. He was putting himself in the right situations to meet women, and women were having fun, and he was hooking up with all kinds of them. I know. That's the type of dudes I for the most part, ran around with. And the men that were going down that aesthetic male model path were typically sitting at home on Friday night. They can't drink. They can't go to, the late night cafe restaurant when they're all drunk. They have to focus on their ripped abs. They got to sit at home with cucumber cutlets on their eyelids to do away with the bags under their eyes. They got to chew jawline bubble gum. They can't be out there partying and having fun. And that's the number one thing. If a woman has to choose, date a male model that goes home and puts cucumber cutlets on his eyes every night and chews jawline bubblegum all day and eats nothing but chicken and broccoli, or a dude that's fun, has an exciting life, she's going to choose the exciting guy every single time. The only exception would be on dating apps, because in a dating app, she doesn't know whether the guy's boring or exciting. She just knows what he looks like. And in that scenario, the good-looking guy is going to get the women. But, men that are hyper-obsessed with the way they look, they have this weird thing going on. It makes them look like they have something wrong with them, like they have body dysmorphia. And I know this because, you could say I've been like 1 foot in the bodybuilding community for more than 20 years, since I was a teenager. And it's not the aesthetics that gets you the women. Like, to a certain degree, you want to be in good shape. Like, you want to work out, you want to live a high testosterone lifestyle, you want to be, confident and aggressive and all that. You want to be a man's man. But it's not like the over-the-top aesthetics that get the women. I know so many dudes, and every gym bro out there knows plenty of men. A lot of you have probably been in this position. Good-looking, giga chads, ripped, buff, muscular, been dieting, a strict diet for the last 10 years. Living a boring lifestyle because they have to look fit all the time. And they're sitting there at the gym, working out because they're heartbroken. They're working extra hard, heartbroken because their hot girlfriend left them for a guy that's not even as good looking, but he's a fun guy. It really has a lot to do with the lifestyle. And like I said, women will make exceptions based on appearance. They might have a preference, but they'll still make an exception if you don't meet that preference. But one thing that they will never make an exception for is low self-esteem, is poor mental health, is a man that's vain and he's more into the way he looks than he is, like a dude that would rather look in the mirror at himself than look at her. That's something that's going to turn off pretty much all women. So again, I'm not saying looks don't matter. They definitely do, but what you got is what you got. Okay, who you are, that's who you are. You can work out, that's like the bare minimum. I'd say work out, eat right. That's health, that's maintenance. Getting a haircut, showering, that's hygiene. Health and hygiene should be part of your life, but when you're going super far overboard, all worried about the way you look, most people are just going to think you're weird, and women are going to think you're lame and boring. and unattractive because of that. You know, so if you've been blessed with good looks, then you're in a good position, right? Because you can let loose, not give a damn about the way you look, go skydiving, eat pizza, go out for a beer on Saturday, live a fun life, and women are going to find you attractive. You know, if you're not so good looking, you don't have that privilege, you don't have that benefit of being extremely good looking. But you can still live the same lifestyle, you know, have the same type of personality as a Chad, be just as confident and feel good, just as good about yourself. And some women will make an exception for you. You know, you're not going to be every woman's cup of tea. But that's life. You know, that's just how it goes. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's my best advice if you're planning on going down that looks maxing path. I think most people consider it weird. They consider it like as if you have something wrong with you, body dysmorphia. And, you know, people aren't generally going to want to be around you. You can't be hyper-focused on the way you look all the time. Be happy with what you have. Because ultimately, you know, you're going to prioritize things based on what your current needs are. And the way the list goes, if you are experiencing like a terminal illness or a potentially terminal illness or an accident that's going to change your physical ability for the rest of your life, that's something that you could stress out about, and you have the right to stress. And the stronger you are, the less you'll stress about it. With the loss of a loved one, you're bound to stress, you know, and unfortunately those two things, at some point in your life, you're going to experience some degree of both of those, and that's terrible. And that's something that is that's acceptable for you to stress out about. But when you don't have any serious problems like that going on, you're going to drop down. If you're mentally weak, you're going to drop down to stressing out about things like money and looks and, you know, some random girl that you like. That's surface level shit. You know, a man that's happy with himself, a man that's confident with himself and loves the life he lives and appreciates what he's been given, but from his parents, from God. You know, even if you're ugly, fuck the rest of the world. Screw what they say. Even if you never get a girlfriend for the rest of your life. That's your freaking body. That's your face. You know, you have to love it. Take care of it. If you got a dog, if you've got a pet dog, it could be the ugliest dog in the world, but you'd love that dog and that dog would love you. And you would take care of it. You would do your best to make sure that dog had a happy life. But how do you treat yourself? You know, do you beat yourself up and you're never satisfied with the way you look? You always think you need to add a little bit more to it? It's terrible. Also, you tend to attract what you are. You know, so if you're a guy that's super vain and you're super worried about the way you look, what type of women do you think you're going to attract? You know, you're going to attract women that are the same way. And if you're the kind of guy that dates a woman that's a 7, and then along comes a girl that's an 8, and you dump the 7 for the 8, you're disloyal. You know, you're always going to be unhappy because you're never going to be happy with what you have. You're always going to be looking for the next best thing. And if that's your personality type, if that's who you are, that's what you're going to attract. And you're bound to get dumped and heartbroken if you do that, my friend. So I don't suggest you go down that path. So let me make this clear. I'm not giving you cope. I'm not saying looks don't matter. But what I am saying is what you have is what you have. And it's in your best interest to be happy with what you got. So I'm going to go ahead and end this one right here. But I hope this video was somewhat informative. And that's about it for today, guys. Until next time, see ya.